Before we get very far into our next story, we do have a warning for you tonight. What you're about to see and hear may not be suitable for children. Tonight, take a walk in their world.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to be opening up tonight with a Transpicuous News report because shit's fucking insane. Now, we're going to start off looking at the geomagnetics as usual. We'll be brief on this one. And I don't think I'm going to talk about the politics tonight, but I might get sucked in because fuck. It is October 30th, day before Halloween. The Arctic freeze is about to hit North America, and yeah, we'll talk about that too in a little bit. But we're going to start off looking at the geomagnetics for the day. As per usual, the usual crazy shit that we always have going on. So, well, I'm going to blow this a little bigger. Okay, going to show you guys, we're going to do this fast and furious because you guys have seen the graphs a bajillion times. You don't need to see them that much more today. Basically, all day today, all day yesterday, we have had incoming small waves. And like I said, I'm going to show you, just really zap through it. You can see the orange waves are coming in from the sun side, purportedly. And we see it's nonstop. 2 o'clock in the morning, we had some really big ones come through in the middle of the night last night. You can see they just keep coming. We've got some interesting compression here. And as we get into the day today here, you're going to see, do you see this? This is around 8 o'clock in the morning. We had another big bunch of blasts come through. I want you to note how tightly compressed the magnetosphere is showing in through here and the coloration of the density. This is unusual. You know, usually we see it, the blue is spread straight out back. But coming in from this morning, all of a sudden we have this real tightening effect. Everything coming in along with these waves. Now, I'm going to show you as we go through here. We've got the waves just continue. They continue onward throughout the entire day. Calm down a little bit around 3 p.m. today. Okay, but it's been pretty much non-stop. Now I'm going to show you the magnetopause. This is where we see the interesting stuff. What we're going to see here is our usual magnetopause lines. We have Earth and we have our bow magnetopause. You're going to see the massive compression that is almost continuously maintained throughout the whole day. So I'm going to throw you through here. We're starting again. This is at just after midnight last night. And you're going to see, usually we see this magnetopause line sits pretty close to where that first coloration bow is. And as we blast through this quite quickly, you're going to see it's pushed in quite tight. And then as we start getting to some of these big hits that come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, you see it expands out and we start to see the crunching and the distortion, and then we see this and it's being pushed in continuously. It's not a blow, it's not like a wave comes through, it's as if it's being continuously being pressed in and compressed. And this goes on all the way to the point of where we can see the end of our graphs. I can't get anything past 5 o'clock UTC at this point. This compression is really interesting, because we don't have a coronal hole facing us yet again. Interestingly enough, Solarham talks about this and says, oh, hold on, go over here, that there was on the 25th, some type of a CME was observed coming off the sun. No idea where it came from. What caused it? Nothing at all. But that's not supposed to hit impact. It's supposed to hit today, the 30th, the CME. Now, is that what was the compression that we were seeing? The thing is this: we see no increase in solar wind speeds. If anything, so there's our solar wind speeds. They have been, since we've gone past the big coronal hole that was facing us, sending out a lot of blasts, is now rotated around the limb. It's no longer geoeffective. We can see the speeds have been dropping. But the density today, the density of particles, again, started building. And we had some weird, crazy stuff going on. So is that the incoming CME? Maybe. But usually we would also see an uptick in the wind speed if that was the case as well, which we don't see. Now, as I said, apparently there's a CME incoming. We don't know where it's coming from. If we look over here, again, we can look at it on the graphs here. We see the density is going up. The wind speed is actually slowing down. And the temperature has dropped as well. These are a little bit strange, a little unusual, and they don't make a lot of sense. But our KP is holding steady. Though it doesn't feel like it, the KP is actually holding steady. Now, I don't have the Schumann pulled up at the moment. The Schumann resonance has been all over the place for the last few days. Large white bands, et cetera, which we haven't really seen. And I think it topped out at about 89 today, which is really, really high. Really, really, really high. But like I said, geomagnetically, things have been on the surface really, really calm. So that's our geomagnetics. That's what's been going on around the planet. Now we're going to get into our news, because the news has been seriously silly. Okay, so we got a few things I want to talk about. Talking about our sun. Big announcement. Scientists thought it was physically impossible. Magnetic instability is discovered in the sun's rotating plasma. And do you know what? It's directly connected to the electrical. Oh my God, are we not shocked? Are we not shocked here? Literally, previously unobserved mechanism is at work in the sun's rotating plasma, a magnetic instability, which scientists had thought was physically impossible under these conditions. The effect might even play a crucial role in the formation of the sun's magnetic field. Just like an enormous dynamo, the sun's magnetic field is generated by electrical currents. In order to better understand this self-reinforcing mechanism, researchers must elucidate the processes and flows of solar plasma, which they can't do under their current physics model, because it doesn't add up. Yet they keep finding these amazing things that they thought were impossible to happen. Maybe that's because their physics models are broken, right? Maybe, you'd think. Anyways, this is a really interesting article. I will put all the links to the articles into the Transpicuous News article that will go with this recording, and you'll be able to find it in the description if you're watching this on YouTube tomorrow or later. Down below on YouTube, you'll see the link to the article, and you'll be able to pull up all these articles and read them. Another unknown. There's an unknown dwarf planet in our solar system. Oh yes, I'll accept your damn cookies. Apparently they've just discovered another planet in our solar system. A dwarf planet. It's teeny. It's like, I think, 460 kilometers across. The potential change in category comes as astronomers have observed Hygeia in better resolution than ever before, finally allowing them to see its surface and find out its shape and size. At no point in this article do they actually show us a picture of this so-called dwarf planet. They just tell us about it and how they're, again, having to reanalyze what they thought they knew about planets, etc., because maybe their physics models don't fucking work. But again, It's an interesting little article. Like I said, just another one to just be like, oh, look at something else new in our solar system that they didn't know before, or at least they never told us about before. Now, going to looking at climate change. Of course, this is the big one, and we always talk about this whole ridiculous fraud that is man-made global warming and man-made CO2 climate change. This is a pretty in-your-face piece of evidence. NASA may have faked climate data, says a retired top UK government scientist. Retired principal scientific officer for the British government. Okay? Principal scientific officer for the British government exposes discrepancies in NASA's global historical climate network charts, which seem to make recent temperatures look warmer, which we've been talking about for years. That we have many people have discovered the fact that they have been, as I love the use of the word, tampering. NASA and NOAA have been tampering with the numbers in changing the climate data so that it neatly fits into that model of man-made CO2 climate change that they're trying to push everything into. Let me go. It says, the unnamed source, now retired from the UK Scientific Civil Service, speaking exclusively to Principia Scientific International, was so disturbed by the tampering of government temperature records that he performed his own verification tests and exposed a shocking anomaly that turns the global warming narrative on its head. And again, this is a really good piece. This is a guy who was, well, head of Britain's science organizations. So he has a little bit of credibility here, just a little bit. And he talks about what we've been talking about for years, is they have been going and changing the climate data so that they could make the numbers fit into their taxation model. Let's call it what it is, their taxation model. We're going on to talk about climate. This one, everyone should be aware of. This is crazy. All 50 states in the United States could fall below freezing by Halloween. This is unprecedented. The U.S. has already suffered 3 historic harvest-wrecking snowstorms, broken 3,575 all-time low-temperature records, yet it still has time for another further week of unprecedented prolonged Arctic cold. They're saying that the previous premature big freeze was November 18th in 2014, and even that was considered to be incredibly early, that this one is going to beat it by 3 weeks. This massive Arctic blast that's supposed to come through North America, plummeting temperatures. Now we've had heat waves, we've had deep freezes, and this is going to continue. This is going to continue as we go into this winter. It's going to be interesting. What I love about this article that's really fun is the fact that they said that NOAA tried to forecast that it was going to be a very mild winter. Sorry, a very mild. John, we have someone unmuted. Could you find who's unmuted and mute them, please? Yeah, there's going to be a very mild autumn, which, yeah, no, they're wrong. And yet people expect these guys, NOAA, to be able to forecast the weather for the next 100 years. Like their global warming thing is going to actually be accurate when they can't even forecast the weather a month in advance. Yeah, we'll just leave that at that. Now, I want to show you guys something. This was just sent to me. Let me scroll back up. Massive lightning strike leaves a 15-foot hole in the Fort Worth parking lot. Now, I'm going to pull this up on my Facebook so you can actually see. This is a lightning strike, so they say. Or yes, close the chat window. There we go. Or is that ground lightning? Because if you look at that, it looks like everything's pushed out. Do you see, like the concrete pieces are pushed up and out as if something came out of the ground blasting up. Is that what this was? A massive blast, massive discharge. One of those plasma discharges we keep talking about. This is really, really interesting because we're seeing more and more of these kind of holes. We're seeing all these, if you think about the sinkholes that are appearing, could some of this be caused by this kind of underground, perhaps, in my opinion, plasma discharges? I'm not even going to talk about California yet. We'll end up getting into California later on in the discussion when we get into the Unfuck It discussion. I'm not going to go there right now because I just want to get through this. This is a real interesting article on Zero Hedge today. For the second consecutive quarter, this is what Americans spent their money on. You ready for it? The largest amount of money spent was on RVs. Now, of course, they've twisted it. They like to twist it and go, oh, well, people are spending their money on RVs. That must kind of, they try to give the feeling of like, oh, people must be so well off financially that they feel comfortable going out and buying RVs. Yeah, no, folks, that's not what this is about. Further on in the article, now I'll show you it significantly, okay? Personal consumption spending growth for Q3 in 2019, significantly higher than anything else. In Q2, higher. Not only that, this is from 2017, recreation goods and vehicles. Interesting. But strangely enough, no one's buying new RVs because, of course, the government in the US put a big tariff on the steel that's used in RVs, and the price of RVs in the US has gone because they've had to pass on these new tariffs to the consumers. So the sale of new RVs is plummeting to the point that they're saying, oh, it's kind of drastic situation here. And yet, people are buying RVs at a record amount. I'm going to just prognosticate a little bit and say I have a completely different interpretation of this data. My interpretation is this has nothing to do with people throwing their money away on recreational vehicles, yeah, because we're so well off. What this is people are seeing the writing on the wall and are looking to get out of Dodge. People have realized that if you're going to bug out, if you're going to get out of the system, this is the way to go. We've seen article after article after article about all the bigwigs, the elitists, all buying their bunkers, their underground bunkers and their islands bunkers, etc., all over the world. And now all of a sudden we're seeing that, no, in this case, Americans, just because obviously this is coming out about US GDP, Americans are all of a sudden flooding and buying RVs. It's not because they're suddenly awash with extra cash and have decided to go RVing, like the commercial says. No, they're getting out of Dodge. People have been like, we need a way to be able to leave. To either A, leave the country, pack our shit up and go, or be able to head to the hills. That's what I see in this. And I find it very, very interesting that this whole article is showing this one piece, this one glaring piece, and yet trying to interpret it like how things are going financially for the country. Because They're not going well financially for the country. Moving on from there, I'm going to show you this one. This one and the next one are directly related in a way. Scientists demonstrate brain-to-brain communication in humans. Talks about humans and our way of communicating, etc., etc. We can talk and body language and all the rest of it. But the next level of of course, mind to mind, thought to thought. Electrical activity from the brains of a pair of human subjects was transmitted to the brain of a third individual in the form of magnetic signals. Interesting that. Which conveyed an instruction to perform a task in a particular manner. This study opens the door to extraordinary new means of human collaboration, while at the same time blurring fundamental notions about individual identity and autonomy in disconcerting ways. They've actually done it, coming out publicly. And as I always say, when they come out and publicly announce that they can do it, then you know that they've had the ability to do this for a long time. They're just now making it public knowledge. This opens up a whole lot of questions. And I'm sure all of you guys, all you unfuckers out there are sitting there going, ha 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 ha, really? We talk about tampering and mind control, and we talk about all of these kinds of things. Here's the taint. This is it, right? And they're coming out and publicly saying they have now done this, like I said, which means they've done it fucking ages ago. Wait, where's the other one? No, wait, did I close it? Hold on, guys, sorry. No, we'll get to that one in a second. I lost one of my links. Sorry, the other link I wanted to put out there is one of the states. I'm going to try and remember. I think it may have been Washington State is injecting homeless people with RFID chips and trackers. Why would they need to track the location of homeless people? Interesting. I mean, we tag wildlife to see where it goes, particularly, types of wildlife that they need to do. They're trying to move to a new location. They want to verify they're staying in their new location. So Washington State, and like I said, I'm pretty sure it was Washington State, is tagging homeless people with RFID chips. Why? What are they tracking? I have a lot of fucking questions on this one. And this one, just because, I can't go and do the news without having at least one thing on vaccines. The World Health Organization has announced that the polio outbreak in the Philippines was caused by, drumroll please, the polio vaccine. And in response, the Philippines government is going to go and give everyone another polio vaccine. Because, it's what you do. Logic tells you if you vaccinate the children and then they all get sick with the disease that you just vaccinated them from, that you should then go out and vaccinate them again with the same vaccine to cure the polio that they got from the vaccine in the first place. Yeah. I have nothing else to say on that. I'm kind of just speechless, just a bit speechless. And you saw me pull this one up. I am going to talk about this just briefly. No, I don't want your damn notifications. Hanging does not cause these broken bones. Epstein's injuries are more consistent with homicide. There's a noted pathologist. There's quite an interesting interview. You can watch this. This is on RT.com. Jeffrey Epstein's injuries suggest his death was more likely to have been a homicide than a suicide, according to New York City's former medical examiner. So again, we're talking about somebody who's got lots and lots of credibility. in their profession. It says the wounds on Epstein's body are extremely unusual in suicidal hangings and could occur much more commonly in homicidal strangulation. The pathologist added that he had not seen such wounds in a hanging case in his 50 years of professional experience. So on the surface, a whole lot of people are going, yeah. See, he didn't commit suicide. But my question is he even dead? Like, where did that go to? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's been this real push, especially in the last week. Again, if you've noticed, if you watch, I watch social media and I watch like the meme sites, because there are meme sites like 9gag are a really great place where you can touch the pulse of exactly what's going on in a moment. All of a sudden in the last week, there has been just a huge push of memes going by, you know, and they're funny as hell. So they catch your eye, you laugh, you go, oh, isn't that witty? That's so funny. And, you know, it'll be like an infographic about name a subject, and then the very last line will be, and Epstein did not commit suicide. Which is great, except it's pushing that narrative that he didn't commit suicide. But like I said, let's go back to when his death took place. There's a good portion of us who are still saying, yeah, I'm not sure I'm buying that he's dead at all. There's highly, highly suspicious as to whether he's actually dead. So in a week that's already full of some insane news, like I said, I haven't even talked financial. I haven't even talked political. I didn't talk about Syria or Turkey, fucking Russia and the US. I didn't even talk about the mass uprising happening all over the damn planet right now. All of a sudden, this is front and center. This much time. But front and center, boom. Let's all talk about Epstein. There's something there, guys. There's something there. And we know that they like to keep us really distracted. With all the news going on, why are they bringing up Epstein now? And like I said, when you touch the pulse of the social media and you follow and see the waves that come through, when last week we had wave upon wave of all kinds of other stuff, now all of a sudden it's all pushed that focus back to Epstein. Last week everyone was talking about Chile, Ecuador, France, Lebanon, Iraq, Hong Kong, of course, several areas in South Africa. All of these places where the people are literally in complete uprisings right now. But now let's bring Epstein back into full focus so we can debate whether or not he committed suicide or was murdered. But we're going to ignore the bigger question of, like, is he even dead? There is a lot going on at the moment. I have only touched on a few tiny little things, the things that catch my eye, because I don't want to go into the fucking politics, the financial stuff. Now that October surprise hasn't taken place yet. And of course, the reason why the October surprise financially didn't take place is because since September 23rd, I think, the Federal Reserve has been bailing out the banks to the tune of $75 billion a day. And that has now gone up, and I think it's now at about $125 billion a day. Take a look at that. Is that how they just have managed to band-aid over the gusher? that is the crashing of the financial system, is just keep pumping more money in, more fake currency, which is valueless and comes from nowhere anyways, and just a pile of numbers. Everything points to it. Everything points to the complete collapse of the financial system. And like I said, the whisperings that are coming out from other central banks around the world, talking about gold again. Gold is the big topic again. And the Shanghai Gold Exchange, and whether or not they're going to be taking over on the pricing of gold, etc. Because let's face it, they're the only exchanges actually dealing in physical commodity of gold, unlike anyone else who's trading in futures and just pieces of paper. It's interesting shit. That's all we're going to get into for Transpicuous News for tonight. But keep an eye out. And if, like I said, if you want to keep a finger on the pulse, take some time and scroll through like the various meme sites, because they're a very, very good way of keeping in touch with exactly what is being put in front of the public's attention, where the attention is going in the moment. And you can actually watch how they twist it, and will drop in a new narrative to distract everyone. We'll hear more clever memes about Epstein's death. Yeah, let's drop that in. Oh yes, on my final note, I closed the screen share, so I'm not going to share it with you guys at the moment. Baghdadi's death. The only thing I have to say on this is, if you actually believe that Baghdadi is dead this time, you haven't been paying attention. You haven't been paying attention. His death has been announced at least 6 other times in the last 4 or 5 years. And thoroughly announced, like, yes, we absolutely got him this time. And before that, it was his guy that he took over for, whose name just completely eludes me, who, it was his name. And it was like they took him out multiple times. Kind of like bin Laden. Anyone who's actually done any amount of research knows that bin Laden was dead a long time before the SEALs took him out. Pay attention. There's a lot of shit going on right now, and they're desperately trying to keep everyone distracted from what's really going on. Not that we know what's really going on, but let's just say they're trying to keep everyone distracted from all the other insane shit that's going on. So yeah, keep an eye out. It's getting interesting. And that's it for tonight for Transpicuous News. I'm not going to promise to be back again with another news show soon, because, you know, it depends. It depends on how just desperately I feel like, oh my God, I need to talk about this. But that's it for Transpicuous News. And now we're going to talk about the Unfuck It discussion.